All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Artificial intelligence really isn't just a fun little novelty anymore, is it? It's literally become this core workflow engine for digital creators, for entrepreneurs, and, well, pretty much anyone who needs to communicate visually. So today we're unpacking a truly massive blueprint for getting the absolute most out of ChatGPT's image generator. We're going to look at a comprehensive strategy drop focusing specifically on how to extract maximum value from this tech. By the time we wrap up here, you're going to understand exactly how this promise of complete tool mastery is being packaged and delivered to focused learners, just like you.
Now, take a look at this quote from our source material, 40+ insane ways to use ChatGPT image for free. Wow. That is a massive, click-driven promise, right? And honestly, every single word there carries serious weight. You've got the sheer volume promised with the 40+. You've got that classic hyperbolic hook with insane ways, the specific tool identified as ChatGPT image, and then the ultimate barrier remover slapped right at the very end, for free. It is basically a complete thesis statement about accessibility and high-volume utility in the AI space. It sets this incredibly high expectation, kind of suggesting that this tool isn't just capable of, one or two neat little tricks, but actually holds this vast, completely untapped reservoir of potential that's just waiting to be unlocked.
So, let's move into our first core area, achieving visual mastery.
Now, visual mastery, what does that actually mean? Well, it definitely isn't just about typing a quick sentence and crossing your fingers hoping the AI spits out something pretty. No, it's the proficient application of comprehensive strategies. It really means you are fully optimizing and directing the output, rather than just settling for whatever the algorithm guesses you might want. Think about it. When you're promised over 40 ways to use a single tool, the clear implication is that true mastery comes from diverse, repeated, and highly strategic application. You aren't just a casual user anymore. You're a director.
Which brings us right to our next section, the ChatGPT image revolution.
You really need to think of ChatGPT image generation not just as some neat little add-on, but as your foundational engine. Think back a bit. In the past, achieving varied visual outputs meant you were probably jumping between, half a dozen incredibly expensive software suites, right? You had one for your vector graphics, another one for photorealism, yet another for conceptual wireframing. It was a lot. But here, the entire premise rests on leveraging a single, unified chat interface to command absolutely all of those different visual styles. It's honestly a huge shift.
All right, moving on to Section 3, Anasup Consulting's vision.
So, Anasup Consulting is the architect behind this massive knowledge base we're exploring. And, in the digital learning space, the messenger is very often just as important as the message itself. They deliberately position themselves as a centralized hub for mastering what is, honestly, a pretty complex technological landscape. By branding this whole collection of strategies under a consulting umbrella, they frame the information quite differently. It's not just casual entertainment, it's positioned as actionable, professional-grade advice.
Let's keep rolling. Section 4, 40 insane strategies.
Just look at that number. 40+. That isn't just a handful of quick throwaway tips. That is an absolutely overwhelming volume of distinct strategies. If you're genuinely doing 40 different things with ChatGPT, you have moved way, way beyond simply asking it to create an image of a cat riding a skateboard, right? To get to over 40 distinct applications, you literally have to push the boundaries of what the tool was explicitly designed for. You have to start treating the AI as a brainstorming partner, a formatting engine, a rapid prototyping machine, and a final stage renderer, all at the exact same time. Now, logically, to actually hit a number like 40, the workflow has to be categorized somehow. First, you've got your varied design applications. So think along the lines of logos, web mockups, and everyday social media assets. Then you step into conceptual ideation workflows. This is where you're using the image generator to visualize complex business concepts or literally storyboard out full narratives. And finally, you have prompt optimization techniques. This covers the actual nitty-gritty mechanics of how to talk to the AI to force consistency, nail down aspect ratios, and get incredibly precise stylistic rendering.
Okay, I know we all kind of have to smile at that classic, super hyperbolic, insane phrasing, but honestly, it sets a very specific expectation. It promises us that these aren't just obvious, run-of-the-mill tricks. No, these are highly creative workarounds, clever hacks, or applications that the average everyday user would probably never stumble upon naturally. It's basically a guarantee that the time you invest in learning these methods is going to yield results that genuinely surprise both you and your audience.
And that leads us perfectly into Section 5, the power of free.
Historically speaking, accessing 40 different high-level visual design strategies meant you were paying for expensive monthly software subscriptions, constantly buying individual stock assets, or just outright hiring professional designers. But that little "for free" modifier, it completely shatters that traditional expensive model. It totally removes the financial friction and literally invites anyone with a stable internet connection to start experimenting with professional-level visual generation. It's pretty wild when you think about it.
So you might be asking yourself, why does this matter to me? Well, because having free access to over 40 distinct strategies represents a massive, and I mean massive, paradigm shift for creators who are operating on a tight budget. This is the very definition of democratizing visual content creation. When the barriers to entry drop all the way down to zero, literally the only thing separating a complete novice from an expert is knowledge and application. You are essentially being handed the keys to a high-end production studio, and you're being told that the electricity is totally on the house. It completely levels the playing field for small businesses, independent educators, and solo creators, allowing them to visually compete head-to-head with much, much larger entities.
So I'm going to leave you with this. With over 40 free strategies right there at your fingertips, what exactly stands between you and true visual mastery? The blueprint is already out there. The strategies are just waiting to be deployed. Really, the only missing variable in this entire equation right now is your willingness to dive in and just start experimenting. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today, and I highly, highly encourage you to go out there and test the absolute limits of what this incredible technology can visualize for you.